is how Tim Walz has governed in Minnesota, addressing people's everyday needs, and it's why he has done such a good job for everyone, Democrat, Republican, Independent, lifting all of his citizens up. When you look at Tim, you see a Democratic governor delivering results in every community, from the cities to the suburbs to rural towns. Like Vice President Harris, he has worked around the clock to help middle-class families get ahead. He brought Minnesota to the lowest unemployment rate of any state in recorded history. He signed the largest tax cut in state history to put money back in families' pockets. Under his leadership, Minnesota, along with Kentucky, is now one of the top states to do business. He increased funding for law enforcement to keep Minnesotans safe. He took action to protect reproductive freedoms when Donald Trump's Supreme Court stripped them away. That's what leadership looks like. So I couldn't be more excited for the Harris-Walz ticket, because I know that they'll keep fighting tooth and nail for all of us Americans. They'll lower costs for middle-class families. They will protect our freedoms. They will expand access to affordable health care. They'll make sure our country moves forward and not backward. President Biden said that picking Kamala Harris as his vice president was the first and the best decision he made as nominee for president. I know that we will look back and say the same thing about President Harris's selection of Coach Walz. And maybe hearing that from me is something. But I love Tim Walz. He's a good man. He's been there for me. He's going to be a great vice president. He's going to be a great role model for all Americans. I'm proud that my kids are going to get to watch him give that speech tonight. And I couldn't be more excited for his family to share in this moment with him. So with Vice President Harris and Tim Walz leading the way, we will bring joy back to our country. We will fight every day, and as Tim Walz says, we'll sleep when we're dead, and we will win this election this November. Thank you all.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Alex. With that, we have a microphone. We will go around and take a few questions. Let's come over here real quick.
Hi, Stephanie Lai, Bloomberg News. Thanks for doing this. The question I have for you is, can you tell us about how the campaign is looking at the battleground map? Are there areas to expand?
Yeah, listen, I think we've been pretty open and explicit about what we see as our path to victory, right? It's why you've seen the Vice President and the Governor not just spend time here in Chicago, but leading into the convention, they did a bus tour throughout Pennsylvania, through Western Pennsylvania. It's why yesterday they weren't just here, they were also in Milwaukee with 15,000 people at Pfizer Forum, another critical city in a crucial swing state. And so we know that our path to victory includes, of course, the critical blue wall states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, but we're also focused on the states that we won in 2020, out west, Arizona and Nevada, and the southeast, Georgia and North Carolina. We understand that what was the Biden-Harris coalition is now fully the Harris-Walz coalition, and that provides us with multiple pathways to 270 electoral votes. And that's why moments like this are critically important, again, as I said earlier, not just for the TV spectacle, but because they provide us with an opportunity to fully engage and organize with our grassroots army. So we have, over 1,600 staff. We've got 300 field offices across all of the battleground states, so that's the work that we're doing on the ground. We just announced our fall paid media reservations, our initial round of paid media reservations, $200 million in digital advertising, another $170 million in television advertising, because we're going to relentlessly communicate with the voters that are going to decide that pathway to 270 electoral votes throughout all of those critical battleground states that I just listed. So we're excited about the work and the enthusiasm that we're seeing on full display in Chicago today, but again, we remain laser focused on the work that needs to be done over the next 76 days here.
Good morning. Donnell Suggs with the Atlanta Voice. I wanted to ask, the past 2 days, the speeches by Reverend Warnock, Senator Warnock, and then by the Obamas yesterday in particular, do you think that made an impact on some of the voters that might be middle of the road or not sure what to expect from the Harris-Walz ticket?
Yeah, I'll start, and I'll let the governor weigh in here too. But I think absolutely what you've seen, some of the most powerful and effective communicators in the Democratic Party lay out the case, right? Speak to who Vice President Harris is as a person, her biography, how that connects to her value set, the way that she sees the world, and who she's going to fight for as President of the United States. You've seen them lay that out. You've also seen them call out the stakes of this election in ways that only they can do, right? Speaking to the threat that Donald Trump poses, the work that he wants to do, whether it's his plans to enact a national abortion ban across this country, with or without Congress, whether it's his extreme and dangerous Project 2025 agenda that he's trying to run away from, but the problem for him is that it's written by his people for him, that wants to gut checks and balances, consolidate power into the Oval Office, return us to a failed economic approach that only benefits rich folks like Donald Trump and the people who contribute to his campaign. I think you've seen, whether it's President Obama, Senator Warnock, or all the other speakers who we've had in Chicago thus far, they've all spoken to key segments of the Walz-Harris coalition. We've seen folks respond in kind, and so we're obviously grateful to have what you've seen is a united front in the Democratic Party, people who have shown up to express, number one, their gratitude for President Biden, their support for Vice President Harris, and underscored the enthusiasm for the work that we have to do moving forward here. So we're excited about what's on full display throughout this week, but as I will continue to say, our focus fundamentally remains on the work that we need to do over the next 70-plus days between now and November. But, Governor, I'll let you weigh in here, too.
Well, I was honored to speak right in front of the senator on Monday night, and I love how he talks about faith. It's something that certainly drives my life, but also gives everybody an understanding of the why of the decisions that he makes and that I make. I love being able to talk about the golden rule that we're supposed to love our neighbor as ourselves, and the parable of the Good Samaritan that says everyone's our neighbor. And so you look at these two campaigns, one that's trying to lift everyone up, suggesting that there is room for everyone at this table, that we should be kind to each other and support everyone, and another that's based on vengeance and retribution and trying to create an us versus them and constantly trying to make another American our enemy. Now, one of the reasons I'm all in for Harris-Walz is I believe they can not only win this election, but they can move us past this constant division, this constant us versus them. We have real enemies abroad that want our country to fail. We have got to be united as a people, and I believe that once we move past this boiling point that our country has been at, then we are going to move to a better place. And just to hear the Obamas talk about decency, even with everything that was thrown at them when they were in office, when they weren't treated decently by a lot of people, but they are still out there calling on all of us to be better and still providing such great guidance and such great leadership. So yes, I believe that all three of those speakers truly speak to our American values, because we want to like our neighbor. It doesn't matter how they're registered. We still want them to get ahead. You know, this country can't be, I want Democrats to do better or just Republicans to do better. It's got to be that we all do better. So when we talk about Tim Walz and that lowest unemployment rate, that's helping everybody. When we talk about the middle-class tax cuts proposed by the vice president, that helps everybody. And that's where we've got to get to. And that's where this ticket's going to bring us.
Miriam Manaka from NHK. I was just wondering whether you could share some more details about what we can expect from Governor Walz's speech tonight.
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to get ahead of the governor's speech tonight, but I think what you can expect writ large is sort of a cementing of this introductory frame, right? He's been on the stump for about 2 weeks so far since the vice president announced him as her running mate, and they've obviously gotten busy crisscrossing the country, going to all the battleground states. Again, you've seen the enthusiasm from the crowds from places like Eau Claire, Wisconsin, Detroit, Phoenix, Nevada, Phoenix, Las Vegas, and then, of course, even last night in right up the road in Milwaukee. And again, as I'll say, we're even more excited about the fact that we're turning that energy and enthusiasm into volunteer action right now. But he's only been on the stump for 2 months, or 2 weeks. And so the vast majority of the American people on a wider swath of the electorate is going to have the opportunity to fully understand and get to know who Governor Walz is, right? As somebody who was a school teacher, a football coach, and then obviously has been a congressman and a governor for some time now. The through line there is going to be that Governor Walz has always been somebody who's fought for the vulnerable, who's fought for those in need, who's taken on special interests for the benefit of the people that he represents. And so the American people will have an opportunity to see that in prime time tonight, many for the very first time, and we're excited about it. Where did we go? Yeah, let's go right here.
Thank you.
Sure, Jackie Coppell, News Nation. On the subject of the speeches, whether it's in Governor Walz or Vice President Harris, can you talk about any details in terms of the policy we're going to hear specifically, not just the autobiographical information?
Yeah, I don't have anything further to read out insofar as policy previews. I mean, listen, I think what you've seen since the launch of this new ticket beginning on July 21st, you've seen both the Vice President and the Governor fan out across the country, introduce themselves to the American people, to the voters that are going to decide this election. That's included rallies. It's included, the bus tour that we've done across Pennsylvania. So we'll continue to do that. But what you've also seen is the Vice President begin to lay out her vision for how she wants to move this country forward. It's why last week she went to North Carolina to unveil some of the first planks of her economic agenda that's focused on lowering costs for the American people, right? How do we lower grocery costs, take on meat processors? How do we lower the cost of housing for people through, number one, building more housing, but also assisting first-time home buyers, assisting renters? How do we actually have a tax code that's fair for the middle class? The Vice President wants to give the middle class a tax cut versus Donald Trump through his across-the-board tariffs, wants to raise taxes on the middle class to the tune of $3,900. We've already seen economists point to Donald Trump's economic policies, whether it's his across-the-board tariffs or everything else that he wants to do that would serve as an inflation bomb. Moody's says that his economic policies would likely cause another recession in 2025. And so we are going to run on that economic contrast. And you'll see the Vice President and the Governor as they continue to fan out from Chicago over the course of the next 76 days here, continue to expand on their vision, expand on their agenda, including policy details, and we're excited to share those with the American people. But it's going to be, whether it's on the economy, whether it's on our fundamental rights and freedoms, I think the contrast is going to be very stark and very clear for the American people to see, no matter whether it's your economic interests, whether it's standing up for the rights of Americans, including the rights of women, whether it's standing up for our democracy and our fundamental rights in this country. There's only one ticket that is fighting for the American people on all those issues, and it's Kamala Harris and Governor Walz, certainly not Donald Trump. Let's go down here in front. We'll go here, and then we'll go there, and we'll probably close out.
Brett Rowland, the Center Square. The GAO has been warning the President and Congress for more than 2 decades that U.S. spending levels are unsustainable. Do VP Harris and the Democrats have a specific plan to address this? And follow-up part, would the nominee support a bipartisan debt commission?
Yeah, listen, again, as I said, I'm not going to get out ahead of further policy rollouts that we'll have, but the American people have plenty of time to see more details as we roll them out for the duration of this campaign. We're excited to roll out the first planks of the Vice President's economic agenda last week. We're excited to be here in Chicago to fully cement the introductory period of this campaign, and we will be releasing more policy details as this campaign moves forward. Also, I would be remiss if I did not point out that the American people will have hopefully ample opportunities to see the contrast between their policy visions on full display starting on September 10th with the ABC News debate. Should Donald Trump keep his word and actually show up, not only will we have an opportunity to see that contrast on full display on September 10th, but then we would hope that we would have a second debate, but that's all contingent upon him showing up on the 10th. And let's go here to close out.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this. Viviana Mazza, Corriere della Sera from Italy. Will the struggles with infertility of Governor Walz and his wife have a place in his speech? How important is it in creating a connection? And given also, I saw they've been attacked on that from the Trump campaign, it's not IVF, and for the governor, what lessons from your campaign apply to this campaign on reproductive rights, in your opinion?
Yeah, I'll start off and I'll kick it to you, Governor. Yeah, listen, I think, as I said, the governor is going to fully, cement the introductory period here, this phase of the campaign tonight. I think he's been very clear so far that infertility is a deeply personal journey that both he and his wife have been courageous enough to share. I think that should be celebrated. I think it's frankly very relatable to millions of American families across this country who have gone through the same struggle. Frankly, I think it's a little bizarre that J.D. Vance and Donald Trump want to attack the governor for experiencing something that, again, millions of Americans go through themselves. And frankly, I think it's a little bizarre that those attacks are not simply limited to the way that they're trying to characterize his experience with infertility treatments. They continue to attack reproductive rights writ large. They continue to go after the rights and freedoms of Americans across the board. I think you will see the American people, you've already seen the American people fully reject that approach to politics. It began in 2020. You saw it again in 2022, not just in blue states, but in states like Kentucky and Ohio as well, when Republicans are running on this extremist record. And that's what we'll see in 2024. But I'll let the governor speak more to these as well.
What we've seen is in every state where reproductive freedom is put on the ballot, that people turn out and vote for that freedom. Certainly in Kentucky, Donald Trump's appointed Supreme Court ushered in the most draconian laws in the country with a near total ban, including no exceptions for rape, incest, or non-viable pregnancies. That's why it's really personal to me when Hadley Duvall stands up and talks about being violated by her stepfather starting at 5 and becoming pregnant at 12. And in my state right now, there are other 12-year-olds going through that don't have options inside of Kentucky. So let me tell you, 85 to 90% of Kentuckians disagree with that, think it's wrong, and think it's gone way too far. So I believe it is both about our freedoms as Americans, freedom for women to make the choices that they choose, freedom over their own bodies, freedom to pursue fertility treatments. I mean, these fertility treatments are gifts from God where people who previously couldn't have children now can. I can't tell you how many children, now young adults even, that I know that without fertility treatments, regardless of the 3 letters of that fertility treatment, without that, those children wouldn't be walking on this earth. The freedom to choose not to have children at all and not to be judged for it. That's something that I think is deeply personal to Americans wanting to have those choices. But the other thing is again, extremism, especially the level of extremism that's been pushed by Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. The people of America are not comfortable with it. They want to be able to make their own choices and not have choices forced upon them.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you all for joining us this morning. We're going to get out of here, but we're excited for another day of energy and enthusiasm here in Chicago amongst the Democrats. Thank you all so much.
Thank you to that one person.
Yeah.